Good morning, everybody. Bill Cancel here, host of the Boutique with BC2 show. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Hopefully you enjoyed my absolute, complete, and total meltdown rant yesterday on the deportation thing. I know I did. I had a really good time filming that show. I had lots of things to say yesterday, in case you didn't notice. I dedicate this show to my dear friend Nancy Goat at Blue Sky Social, whose idea this was to create today's show because we needed to get into a little bit more specifics about what's happening with these deportations because we're hearing a lot about, what's going on, so on and so forth. So the premise of this show is to really discuss what's civil, what's criminal, and the penalties involved, right? Because the Trump administration is saying that if you're here illegally, and illegally is a big word, and we're going to go over some details in a minute, that's grounds for immediate deportation or immediate detentions, jail, and so on and so forth. While some of that's written in the law, the vast majority of people being picked up are being penalized for what's not in the law. So let's go over that. So this is a list of civil violations, okay? Civil violations, okay? Undocumented immigrants in the U.S. generally violate civil immigration laws, not criminal laws, but there's some. Simply by entering and remaining in the country without authorization. So, unlawful presence is the violation, the first violation, overstaying your visa. Okay. Penalty bars to re-entry 3 to 10 years. Okay. So, that's legit, right? If you overstay your visa, you're barred to re-enter for 3 to 10 years. Okay. And legit. Okay. But remember, that's a civil penalty. Entry without inspection, crossing the border illegally. Removal, deportation. It's deporting, but it's civil, not criminal. These are civil violations. I can't say that enough. Failure to depart under voluntary departure, fines, you get fined for that, and 10-year bars, you're barred for 10 years to re-enter in the country. Okay? Civil. Violation of visa terms. For example, working on a tourist visa when you're not. Removal proceedings, and they'll get you out of the country. Those were civil penalties. Now we'll talk about what criminal penalties. Illegal reentry after deportation is a felony and up to 20 years. That's criminal. Document fraud or identity theft, absolutely. That's fines and imprisonment, and you should get the book thrown at you. Human smuggling, felony, of course, throw the book. Failure to depart after final order of removal is a fine and up to 4 years in prison without obstruction. With obstruction. Unlawful presence, and this is what you have to keep in your head today. Unlawful presence equals civil no jail time. Unlawful presence. Illegal reentry or fraud, criminal. Okay? Most undocumented immigrants have no criminal record, but may be deported under civil rules, okay, based on what we just discussed about. So to summarize, civil penalties may include removal, deportation, bars to future legal entry, 3 to 10 years, or permanent bans, fines, rarely imposed but possible, and detention while making immigration hearings, and so on. So it's important to talk about this so that everybody understands exactly what's happening, okay? And again, the Trump administration has decided that they're not going to waste their time with legal proceedings. They're going to violate everything I just said to you and just deport. So they are actively breaking the laws of this land every single day. Civil cases, civil immigration cases are not being treated as civil immigration cases. They're not being investigated. There is no due process. If you are an immigrant, regardless of status, you're just being thrown out of the country. That's fucked up. I mean, really. So this is why this matter is so important. Now, I know what Trump would say, and he's already said it. You can't give them due process because that means trials for everybody, and it'll take 100,000 years to get everybody in trial. Excuse me, to go through the due process and so on and so forth. We have no time for that. Why did Barack Obama have time for that? Why did Joe Biden have time for that? And I'd like to point out that both Barack Obama and Joe Biden, you can look this up, Joe Biden, deported more than what this individual has done so far without ICE and the Marines and getting rid of due process. So keep this in mind when we start harping about, the immigrants and having their rights and having due process and so on and so forth. You have to understand the magnitude of what this is. 90, I would venture to say that 90% of the immigrants that are being deported have paperwork issues. And the other thing that's really annoying about this is now they're rounding up people who are following the laws that I just described and showing up to court, and the judge is saying, no, no, we're done. You're illegal now. Get out. How, how does that happen? So I hope this explained a little bit more to you. It definitely goes. If you haven't heard my rant yesterday, go listen to the rant first and then come back and listen to this show. And it puts it all kind of nicely together. So this is what we're up against. So again, thank you very much to Nancy Goat, my dear friend, for bringing this to my attention. And I hope this makes sense to you and gives you something to think about, everybody. We'll be back in a little while with Truth Test Tuesday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.